Hot and Hot Private. This is the War on Comics. I'm Colin.
I'm Omar.
Today we're doing part 2 of our, I think it's safe to say now, legendary
Absolutely.
Watchmen coverage.
Oh yeah.
We've been making some waves and ripples in the, the space for people to talk about comics from like 40 years ago.
Yeah.
I think the streets are talking.
The people are saying, they're taking their votes in. They think this is some hot coverage right
They
now.
wanted part 2.
They need a part 2.
We're going to give them part 2. Let's say of 3.
Yes.
Who knows? Tomorrow, there's nothing promised about tomorrow. If the Watchmen has taught us anything.
If the one lesson that we have for you guys, no tomorrow.
Yeah, so, without further ado, let's cut into it. We'll just zoom in really close on this little last book.
Yeah, I think we could do a little better.
We could do it a little better.
Yeah, I think so.
Bam! Still really loud.
I love it, man.
It's gonna break this table one day, but it'll be worth it.
I think it'll be worth it. Look
All
at
right.
this, guys. God damn.
Beautiful.
See it.
All right. Fearful Symmetry. Tiger, burning bright. So I told you the gimmick with this comic, right? It's I'll just spoil it out the way. In terms of
should we say it? Spoilers abound because
yes. So if you have it, needless to say, starting in the middle of Watchmen, this isn't the place for you to start. We're going ahead with this assumption that you've read the whole book, you know what's going on. We're doing chapters 5 through 8.
Yeah.
So the second act of the book. Needless to say, if you never read the book, read it 100 times and then come back to this because we're going to be bloviating a little bit here. So, but yes, Fearful Symmetry. This one I read through without understanding the gimmick, and I had to have someone explain it to me. Once they explained it to me, this is like kind of the turning point where watching turns into like, oh, I'm really invested in this. So like, this is one of the most brilliant comics ever for me.
Yes.
And it's a simple gimmick, but it's so goddamn effective, and I love it every time. So the bit is the front. It's the title of this issue is Fearful Symmetry, or Fearful Symmetry, if you were to go with the slant rhyme given to us by William Blake, whom the title is extracted from. And symmetry is a motif in general via the Rorschach test, of course, and you'll see little nods to the symmetry theme popping up
like right away.
But within the comic, and this is what makes Watchmen unadaptable. 9 panels, Rorschach outside with the sign. 9 panels, Rorschach outside with the sign. Next page over, or inside the apartment. 9 panels, inside the apartment. Did I skip the page? Inside the apartment, 9 panels. Opposite page, stairwell, and it's just 9 panels, stairwell. 9 panels, stairwell. We're insane. We can keep going here. 6 panels, 7, I guess. 6 panels with the 7
with
splash here. We got here we are, Moloch in the center. It keeps like you do this through the whole issue. Rorschach at 6. It's like kind of like agonizing the extent of which it goes. The detectives, and there's our like they're looking at
the murder scene. I think.
Yeah, I think the poster. Yeah, like they're looking at the posters from the murder scene. The dead,
even down
the dead
to
poster,
that sequence.
The dead poster. It's like so tightly wound.
Wow.
You have to be thinking in such a 3D kind of way.
Yeah.
Newsstand, pirate comic.
This is some 4D chess comic. For sure.
We got the diner, and you could say the mirror is kind of also tying in with the symmetry thing. And then we have them in Dryden's house, or Sally Jupiter, Night Owl, and there's the mirror again. Mirror, 9 panels, 9 panels. Don't worry, we're not going to drag this out too much longer. You kind of see what we're putting down.
Yeah, man.
You see where we're going here.
Well,
this is a little bit shot. This is the little tick here.
This one?
Is that we have a oh wait, no, never mind. We're good.
I think you handled
Pirates. Yeah, all good. And then this is the symmetry here with V in the center, the V being technically symmetrical. I mean, I don't know how dialed in that is, but yeah, it's like amazing when you see it in action, and it's also not really like as I would say overwritten, overly attentive to the details as it is. It's not. It does tie in with the theme again with the Rorschach mask and
Even the
the
V, down to the
yeah,
V.
the layout ties in with it. It's not like it's just an experiment in form for being an experiment in
Right.
form's sake. We are moving the story forward because, of course, the main it's not that eventful of a
Right.
story. I think a lot of the second act is kind of I wouldn't say it drags necessarily, but this is where we kind of like slow things down and get to know the
Yeah.
characters more. Because of course Rorschach visits Malak. Malak gives him you know, we get the sign for him to come back and visit him. You see these murders happening with the around town, which is sort of, I think, just a way to sort of show how things are escalating in
Mhm.
terms of tensions with this kind of end of the world motif.
And like the psychic horror elements that might be happening.
Right, people are going nuts, and I think that's Oxoxamoa from the Dead, the poster up there, which is another like musical nod. I don't think I mean, unless you want to be really literal and say there's dead people and it's the Grateful Dead, but I think it's more just a way of kind of showing that even
And who these people are.
the peaceful hippies are even snapping and kind of turning violent.
Mm.
We got our pirate comic. I'm really focusing this time around on all these close-ups on faces because I'm seeing that happen a lot. I don't know if it's just how that ties in with the story at large or if it's
It's
kind of
kind of
just
unique here.
yeah, it happens so much in the book, and that's kind of my main takeaway from reading this chunk the second time around. Yeah, that's one of those really nasty transitions. The pirate stuff, I think, they are very indulgent as far as like how on the nose it is with the how the text and panel interplays.
I feel like Gibbons is having a lot of fun messing
Yes,
with this. Like,
I mean this. Yeah, the whole Rorschach bit is yeah, of course this crazy guy's gonna play with it. And these shadows that comes I'm noticing these shadows and I mean the graffiti is drawn attention to a lot, but I think shadows is another motif that you see used throughout the comic, and it's something I know like it's not like I've never noticed the shadows before, but it's like, oh, they're really drawing attention to it in the book, which I'll save my theories on that for a little.
on the I think on the third act it's when it's most evident.
Yes, and of course, a shadow kind of ties in with symmetry too, right? To some extent, or it's a reflection.
In his like hard boiledness of the
Yes.
of the
Um,
investigations.
so let's see here.
Ooh,
What do I have here?
who he talking
Call
to?
call the. Oh yeah. I thought that was funny. So he shot the nerd in the attempted assassination of Veet, who we're supposed to say, he's like call the toy people and cancel the extension of the Ozymandias line. If they ask why, just tell them I don't have any enemies. Which is I only brought that up as I only thought that was funny this time because it's like they shot the secretary. So is he just telling this to the security guard? Or
Who is he talking to?
because they were the lady was in the middle of the conversation with him.
Is this like a? I thought it when I read it this most recent time. It actually felt to me like knowing what we know at this point. But going back, is he talking to like a secret person
Right, like
in the other?
on a
Right,
communique or like on a walkie-talkie or
like the
something.
double talk in all of
Right.
it. You know, like
It's just a funny thing. If you the secretary shot, are you just telling this to the security
yeah,
guard?
is it a note for to self kind of thing?
um, and let's see here. I just have
Yeah, there
oh,
they are again,
yeah.
man.
They keep popping up, and then I just really like this panel down here. This is a good a man who has experienced heartache and longing in life. This panel should speak to you.
It's just empty.
Hell and damnation. Beautiful. And of course, that leads us into our pirate comic where he's going through his own kind of hell and damnation. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot for this issue beyond like the form It's kind of just moving the plot along. You know, you got the trumped up charges for Rorschach. It's a God, it's just such good fucking writing because it's like strip away all of this form bullshit, strip away the motifs, strip away the any of the sort of metatextual stuff. Like it's just a cool plot. You frame Rorschach for murder, and that's how you get him into jail. It's just like how you write a compelling, captivating, action-filled story.
Yeah.
And
they keep all of the so as far as writing responsibilities, it was all Alan Moore.
Yes.
Right. And then Dave Gibbons is like contributing in like just
drawing
drawing
the characters out, probably doing some color stuff, I would imagine. I'm officially gonna read Watching the Watchmen, which I've kind of put off because it felt a little tedious in a sense, where it's like I know the Watchmen, I don't need to read a book on it. I'm gonna read Watching the Watchmen because that's like the
is that the behind the scenes?
Yeah, book? That's the book that like really analyzes everything and breaks it down. It's like
I might have one that we can look at.
Yeah, I think they got it at the local library too.
Cool.
So maybe we can tag team that one. Yeah. Maybe this part 3 is about to turn into a part 4.
Maybe
if we can draw something out of it. I don't know. I can't speak to the quality of the book. I hear great things, but yeah, I need to officially crack that bad boy open. But here's our William Blake tag, and this is the first time you see Rorschach, so you don't know that he's the guy holding the "End is nigh" signs around from earlier in the book. Strong reveal, terrific reveal, and another one of these kind of like close up on the face panels, which I'm kind of fixating on.
The Rorschach close ups are always, I mean, he's just a really intense fucking character, but they're all like, to me, they're some of the most effective ones, and they kind of work as like the opposite to the John, Mr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
And Dr. Manhattan, because his is so like callous. They're all cold and blue, and then Rorschach's are always very red and intense. Like it's he's probably maybe the most human one of all of them.
And there's like an interesting sort of like dichotomy between the two, because you do kind of get to, there's similar philosophies, but from such different places, which I guess we'll get into a little more as the book goes on. The back matter here is sort of giving the history of the pirate comics and sort of how they're, essentially why they took off when the EC and why the superhero comics didn't, and kind of touting this guy up as the author of that pirate comic we've been reading as this kind of genius, and this being his swan song. This is a little bit you ever seen M. Night Shyamalan's Lady in the Water?
No.
It's a giant piece of shit. I hate M. Night Shyamalan with a passion, but I still hate watch all of his movies religiously. Of course.
Beach.
Yeah, The Beach That Makes You Old. I was there in the theater. There's like there are fewer M. Night movies I haven't seen in the theaters than I have, and I detest his films. So that said,
you appreciate the format. Form.
Lady in the Water is like this hideously indulgent one that he did, even by his standards. And like in it, he plays a writer who will change the world. And like
M. Night Shyamalan is in the movie?
Yes, M. Night Shyamalan is in the movie, and he's a main character, and he plays a writer whose work will change the world. And it's like, these kind of things where, like, I'm not saying that Alan Moore is doing that egregiously, but like to talk about like a guy who wrote pirate comics and how he becomes like the most important author of all time, and they need to abduct him to, craft this crazy sci-fi character. I don't know. It's just funny when comic writers put comic writers in the comics and just talk about what geniuses they are.
Talk about them as heroes like that and stuff. That's pretty funny. And I feel like reading it back again, man, that shit was, he was glazing on the guy.
Like, for sure. Where it's just like, our greatest, comics writers that we have from that period, like, say a Will Eisner, I guess, would have been like the one that really broke through, and like as important as Will Eisner is to me, to you, to anyone watching this, I would imagine like the general public would not bat an eye if Will Eisner
Oh, no way.
missing.
And that's the craziest part, is that he is such a footnote in, not a footnote, but an actual like influence on the form.
Yeah.
And this is also, looking back, I think I told you at the top of this, like as a youngin, I love this kind of shit. Like, oh, what the hell? Like the novelty of seeing the style or whatever.
Right.
Like, it was cool. But now reading it as a little older child, it's got way more subtext than I could have even, there's background stories happening left and right.
And reoccurring images and ideas that keep coming back and play into the larger story.
And that's like, I think also one of the most important elements that a comics maker could have.
Right.
Like, if we're pointing to like a Will Eisner, for sure, like that's, if you know the bones, like that was the skeleton for all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, taking comics to the next level, or like treating it as a proper medium of which serious stories could be told. Because this chapter here especially is like, actually this whole second act, it's just talking. Like, for people, it's for a superhero comic, even technically it's superheroes. Like, I want to say this whole issue is just dialogue. And like, it's completely engrossing, because I think people have always been and always will be fascinated by true crime, and by this kind of format of the psychoanalyst getting in the mind of the psychopath, and so it's just a very compelling story in and of itself. And yeah, we got our Nietzsche here, and I think this is where like the shadows, which I've never read Carl Jung, so I don't. I'm just kind of going off of his place in pop culture, But like the whole idea of like shadow work and like the shadow self, that's very Jungian. This one's named after Nietzsche, but I think the other chapter is a Carl Jung quote at the end of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's sort of where that shadow stuff comes in. It is sort of a Jungian shadow, like a dark inner self that we don't show. And I think that's some of the shadow stuff that I was picking up on. Oh, this
panel.
This is an interesting one. Remember all that question stuff we were reading?
Yeah.
Where like, you see the bold, heroic man strutting off with, signing off to the people in the background who are chastising him for just being too bold. This is like a real dark inversion of that. And I'm the only, maybe this is all headcanon. I think Alan Moore thinks about Steve Ditko a lot.
Oh, for sure. This could be a love note to Steve.
All Ditko. The 9-panel stuff, I don't care. I'm saying that's all Ditko. But this is sort of our, when you see those straight-laced men, bold and square-jawed in those comics, this is sort of like his answer to that, in a sense, of saying like, well, these are, whoremongers, these are abusive men, because there was that dark-sidedness to that, like, fantasy of the 50s suit and tie breadwinner man. It's depending on which fascist ideology you decide to partake in, you'll see those people held up as like these peaks of masculinity and these pinnacles of Americanism, but it's like, this is what they were really doing,
right?
Like
the reality.
Yes. And so I don't know, I took that as like because this is very much so laid out like one of those question panels that show him as the stoic and heroic
even
man.
Him walking away like
yes, that, absolutely.
That is definitely, I forget his alter ego's name when he's not the question, but
the reporter guy.
The reporter. Like, I feel like there is a panel just like this, and him telling his crew, "No, we must fight for what's right." And he's looking all heroic.
And
that's interesting.
That's my fan theory. Don't hold this to anyone.
I wouldn't put it past him, man. Now that we've gotten deep in
given that we're
Alan
deep
Moore
in the
stuff,
9 panels, given that the character is based on him, I don't know. I'm not. I don't think there's nothing.
I don't think you're too far off. I don't think so.
We got face
Yeah.
close up galores here. God, this is just such a fun
So
read. Getting into
dark.
how
Do you remember like the old gangster films, like I think it was the Silver-Tailed Fox, or what was that called? Like the OG, like there's some like mob movies,
yeah.
and this is like I feel like just such a classic mob kind of
Yeah,
upbringing.
yeah, yeah. Like I don't know. I'm trying to think of some like Babyface or like
Yeah,
the '30s Scarface.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Very
he
much a scamp on the streets who's is a bad egg.
eat a bad egg. He's taking
um,
care of business.
and we got more shadow stuff here, and this is sort of the I mean, I don't think it's subtle by any means, but basically, this psychologist's descent into madness. The more he hangs out
Yeah,
with Rorschach, it's just fun to read.
like that this panel, I feel like
Yes.
it could be blown up, and that's a shining example of what happens when you spend too much time alone with Rorschach.
um, and yeah, let's see here. This is kind of like you see the let's see here. I think you've been conditioned with a negative worldview. There are 6,000 people. There
Or,
there are good people too, like you,
mm,
me. Well, I wouldn't say no. You just think it. Think you're good people. Why are you spending so much time with me, doctor? And this is like such a meditation on like the modern true crime phenomenon. It was written 40 years ago, but it's still
yeah,
like holds true where you have housewives and very well-to-do people just reading about
just
just
the
the most
most heinous.
atrocious
Yeah,
crimes
absolutely,
out
absolutely.
there, and this sort of and I don't think there was like 0% fascination with serial killers at the time. Of course, like what do you call it? Silence of the Lambs was like on the horizon. After this, maybe
And
influenced. I'm not saying yes. I'm not saying no. But
the tone for sure, man.
in one panel, they kind of like tear down that the purity of the um,
Kind of like the actual scene of what's happening. Like, why is this doctor looking so hard into his case? And
right,
is
right.
it, I mean, Rorschach probably knows more than anybody. People don't do things because of the goodness of their heart, or he's, like
Yeah,
the guy ends up, he's is trying to build this case to kind of become, at least that was my takeaway. Like at the end of it all, it seems like he tried at one time to, he was earnest in his appeal for like Rorschach, and then it just turns into like, well, I can, a pride thing. Like he just becomes obsessed and
yeah.
like,
I mean, there's a fascination with it, and it's the goes back to the Nietzsche quote that sets off the chapter. You stare into the abyss stares
yeah.
back at you. This is probably the most action, and what a horrific action it
That
is.
sounds so fucked.
Rorschach just like toasting this guy who's giving him a hard time, and then yeah, here's the notorious line. I swear they use this in like a Dark Knight movie, but don't quote me. Um, he said, "None of you understand. I'm not locked up in here with you. You're locked up in here with me."
So hard.
So hard, and
That's the sickest shit ever, man.
yeah, totally used over and over again. But that's yeah, iconic line. More
Iconic.
shadows, um, and this is some fun like superhero stuff. It is still like I don't know a fun. All the superhero stuff looks really heroic and
Yeah,
good.
they nail the tone, and but the sub or like the undertone of it is that they're treated as demigods, but each one of them is very much human.
Right, and very messed up. And
Yeah.
this is kind of interesting. I don't know if I've noticed this before, but the unfinished graffiti is specifically from that riot scene when the comedian like I don't know throws like a
Oh yeah, he
totally abuses force.
in the moment before that we see in the flashback.
Yeah, because the night owl and it's the night owl and the comedian during the riot scene,
Mm.
and Rorschach was apparently just like lurking in the shadows, which is sad. His best friend was out playing with someone else, but I don't
Oh
know.
man.
I'm not gonna get into that. So yeah, here he starts breaking down the reality of the dead dog and how he
This is one of my favorite fucking work. Like that face
yeah
fits so well with the attitude that I think Rorschach starts out with, or is just mean mugging.
yeah.
Like,
And this is his like tipping point where he snaps after kind of seeing that this guy who
yeah,
abducted this kid couldn't get money
dark.
for him and just fed the child's remains to the dogs and
So fucked.
Rorschach hacks up the dogs, which is kind of mean, but you know what?
I think in his
Yeah, he had to neutralize the threat, I guess, so he
yeah
could toss it in, and then of course does some John Kramer from Saw shit and Saw,
yeah
which is it's actually kind of like directly from Saw in the sense because he ties him up and is like, you're not going to be able to cut through the
hmm
chain quick enough to get out, so you'll have to hack off your own arm, and if you do, we'll blow you up, which is yeah straight out of Saw, kind of interesting. I don't think I saw the Saw movies ever until like recently. So after seeing those very dumb movies, I can appreciate where
I
they.
mean, this is like Saw 1, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
with
because it's
Robin Hood Men in Tights guy.
right where I mean that's at least the premise of it, right? Where
hmm
you have to kind of where
Chained up and
yeah you
you
have to
know.
cut basically like are you willing to cut your arm off for freedom?
Oh, that's so
Um,
gnar.
let's see here. We got this is kind of like I don't know. I guess a dive into postmodernism, right?
Mm,
Existence is random, has no pattern save what we imagine after staring at it for too long. No meaning save what we choose to impose. And like,
mm.
I think that's sort of what I was talking about with the dichotomy between him and Dr. Manhattan, because they both kind of wind up at that in a
Right.
sense. There's like a Venn diagram where they share a lot of that post, or they share some of that philosophy, but in such a different way.
hmm
Rorschach, I think, comes to that conclusion by just really being literally on the streets with no superpowers and just seeing the horrors of man. And Dr. Manhattan kind of comes to that belief by going universal and seeing like particles are particles. If it's
Right.
on a dead body or a living one, what's it to me? So
That
it's,
cold, the coldness is there in both of them.
and I think it's not like, I don't know. I guess just, I mean, personally, that's kind of how I see, like Rorschach is literally meat. No, I'm kidding. But no, I think it's like
Hashtag.
I think of this so much, man. I really
Mm,
kind of think it's like the question of our time in a sense
hmm
because it's a post uh you know God is dead, death of the author, postmodernist world, but there's also this
Long live God now, like with
well, yeah,
you
very
know.
very strong pushback about that, like
Yeah.
that Jordan Peterson freak. He's like the number one guy that's like, oh, these postmodernists, and treating them like
Yeah.
treating this concept like it's like a boogeyman, like it's high,
Yeah.
the postmodernists are under your bed gonna get you. And there's such a I don't know, you think about like the trajectory of America right now, where it's
hmm
like the big thing you hear all the time is like our founding fathers wanted this to be a God country, and we are
Yeah.
not a God country, and that kind of stuff. Where it's like, what the? I mean, my feeling is just like, what the fuck do I care about what some people 300 years ago
Yeah.
thought about anything?
And it was also like a different time. Like,
Yeah, and it was like they couldn't figure out that it was like not cool to own people, so I kind of don't give a fuck
right.
about
That's
their
they weren't
thoughts.
that advanced,
Yeah, I mean, they had
y'all.
some good ideas. Take the
Yeah.
good, leave the bad.
Right.
Whatever. I'm not an absolutist on this, but but like, there are people who really believe in that stuff as an absolutism, and
hmm
not only are they absolutists, the founding fathers of our country, but the stuff they believed in is absolutist. Whatever the word of the Bible is fucking
Right.
what it needs to be, and
And then they edit the Bible to
to
say
suit their
whatever they
needs.
need.
And it's
Yeah.
like very, I don't know, I'm increasingly kind of confused by the world. And I see it as I see that reactionary kind of conservatism as a sort of pushback against like this very philosophy,
Yeah.
that reality is what we make of it. I think between Rorschach and Manhattan, there's sort of and we'll see it when we get to Manhattan's chapter. That is, if you haven't noticed, kind of what we're doing, like giving
Right.
each character their own chapter here, this being the one that obviously really focuses in on Rorschach. Um, Manhattan's conclusion is kind of different. Instead of just nihilism for nihilism's sake, he sees he really takes that meaning that we choose to impose and kind of imposes some meaning on it, which is I think what you have to do. But it's a scary thing to impose meaning.
It's interesting how they both have this view of it, and even like I would say Dr. Manhattan's view is a little more positive, like neutral positive, because he looks at, and like again we'll probably explore it more later on, but his view on life is so he looks through particles, right? So he's just does not consider humanity in the present moment. He lives in like through time, throughout all time. So and I don't want to get too ahead, but I love how they break that in here.
And it is sort of a horseshoe theory in action, because you have, they're the most, on paper, they're the most opposite, right? Like the most like 100% conviction, like morality to this extreme case of Rorschach, and the most disconnected figure in some of all of literature in Dr. Manhattan, and the overpowered and the like completely impoverished and desperate, and you could go on about their opposites, but they kind of come to a similar conclusion, which is that life has no meaning besides what we impose on it.
Could we say two sides of the same coin almost?
So, yeah, because you get to the same conclusion through these very extreme opposites, and you have to be in these cases. In Dr. Manhattan's, he's imbued with these like mega godlike powers, and in Rorschach's case, he's just been tormented his whole life and only seen these dark underbelly of what life has, and is completely disconnected from society in a way. And they're both ultimately living by their own moral code, and by having everything in the case of Dr. Manhattan and having nothing in the case of Rorschach, they're both able to live out by their own moral code, whereas like say like the Night Owl or Sally Jupiter, they're all bound by these sort of social constraints.
It's that fantasy too, the fantasy structures that they're building between each other, like that they're kind of they were spinning their plates a little bit like during their tenure as heroes,
right,
and stuff. And it's interesting how he really goes in on these characters, almost breaking down the archetypes, like in not like a brutal way, but you feel it. You definitely feel the lows that they're feeling. You feel like,
I mean, these are really good. I mean, when you give them characters space to really focus on, in this case, seeing Rorschach directly get analyzed by this prison psychologist, it's like, I don't know, it's you're able to really appreciate him. And of course, he starts kind of Rorschach posting as he goes on.
Yeah, he does.
Speaking in these like really curt sentences, and it's like, maybe it's a little heavy-handed or whatever, but
his influence is strong.
Yeah, it's like just as, I mean, for a single issue, just so satisfying. Like what a character study. And like, again, I think Alan Moore has like quote unquote disavowed Rorschach over the years,
Oh, really?
Yeah, being like, look, guys, don't fucking look up to this guy, which of course, you're not really supposed to.
Yeah.
But speaking of those like kind of weirdo conservative types, they read the stuff where he's like, he's a possible homosexual, and this mother with children from multiple fathers is scum and needs to, that kind of stuff.
I mean, this is like their type of person.
Yeah, and so like, they relate to him in that regard.
Crazy.
And I think Alan Moore has explicitly gone out to say, like, don't think that he's a good
I
guy.
can't believe he has to set a disclaimer for this.
Yeah,
shit,
and for
but he
Alan Moore to
does.
do that, like, you know, an artist to kind of like,
Oh, this was wild too.
yeah, the if you want to really get into Rorschach, you
Yeah.
got the report that's been written here.
And again, the motif. I don't think we've really pointed it out, but the blood.
Yeah,
like,
getting
coming
closer,
down.
the doomsday clock getting closer to midnight. And then I think this is the Night Owl chapter, kind of.
It's like split between both of them.
Yes, Sally Jupiter and Night Owl kind of get. I keep calling him Night Owl. I forget his.
What is his actual name?
I don't know.
It's not Hollis.
Yeah, I kept calling him
Dan.
Hollis last time. Dan.
Dan.
Dan the Pussy Man.
Yeah. I mean, that's what his number one fucking goal. You know?
This is like, I don't know. Reading through it this time, I'm like, this is so dialogue heavy, and it's not really great dialogue. It's not really going anywhere necessarily.
Yeah.
There's like some lore given, there's some fleshing out, but I think
it's like archetypes. He's working them out a little bit,
and maybe just kind of selling their eventual romantic hookup. And I don't think they're like burning up the screen necessarily,
right?
But it's like I don't think if you saw these two characters in a movie, you'd be like, oh, they're good. Oh, will they or won't they?
Right.
You know, I don't think it has that kind of like burning intensity or anything.
They say like we don't ship them, you know?
Like, yeah, I don't know if people are shipping these two just based on this, and you can kind of see their eventual romantic inclinations from a mile away. Maybe part of it is like showing how they are kind of not awkward because they're flowing and everything, but it's just like a little stiff. I think ultimately, I just think it's interesting to read, you know, a DC comic, and imagine you're in the 80s and like you're seeing this plot develop and these conspiracies flow and all that, and then you take a break to just read page after page of these two just yapping. We got the Devo reference here.
I love this.
Bringing the music, tying in with the music again, because of course it's built around that Pale Horse band, this concert of a fictional band about to play. And
is that a reference? I guess we'll get to it.
Well, Pale Horse. Yeah, I think it's just another way of like, you know, the apocalypse. The end of the days.
Okay.
Riding on a pale horse, etc. I mean, the band could have been like, you know, the Gizmos or whatever it is, the Rockers.
Can you imagine the Gizmos in a fucking.
They call it the Pale Horse, so you know it's they're just, again. I think, you know, part of this, if I'm to like kind of analyze it in a way, it's like just put in a lot of shit like that. Just pack it out. Pack out go rewrite your script and write it again and write it again, and just keep including more like just tie-ins and repeating motifs. And here's this TV show where Ozymandias is performing physically, and of course their old Dan is not able to get it up,
right?
Which we find you know, is very sad. But then he has this you know, crazy dream where that's a gal that was like his Catwoman of sorts, I guess. And
yeah, right. She was. We saw the photo that she sent earlier. She was like his arch nemesis.
But... And there's creepy shit with him peeling the girl's skin off. And iconic scene, you know, the two people kissing with a explosion, and that ties in with the graffiti that's been around town. And for all that talking, there is a lot that happens. Our boy suits up. It's the sad one.
That's so sad. Even the word balloon, like,
yeah.
Oh shit, that's funny, man.
Well, I guess I must look pretty Devo, right? Classic. Come on.
He wanted that. He wanted that in there.
Come on, let him have it. And like, again, to give him strength, like when he put, this is like this meta, you know, the dark deconstruction of heroes, but like, tell me that doesn't slap, brother. Like, tell me that doesn't, like, when they're doing hero shit, like, it looks fucking cool, and they look heroic, and they play it very straight, you know, like, you can be thrilled by this. Yeah, they pass this tenement on fire, and
Yeah,
help them out.
sequence, man.
This is the inside of it. They're playing this jazz standard from Billie Holiday. He says earlier, again tying the music thing together, or bringing music in. I don't even know what if all the music references are necessary or tie in with some larger theme that I'm missing here. Maybe as I get to the end of it, I'll have my answer. But it is just interesting how much it's brought up, including the Billie Holiday song, or we'll assume it's the Billie Holiday version. And yeah, "You're My Thrill," which of course, they're having a
very classic.
Yes, they're having
smoldering.
a thrill. So again, the contrast of all of the talking that was happening earlier between them, and now they're in costume and they're just fucking
in the ship.
No words necessary after they drop everyone off.
That's
accidentally
amazing.
set fire here. And yeah, they're just having a nice post smash session. I don't know the Job thing. I think it was like that's the part where they're inside the belly of the whale, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's like a lot. I remember from school, because I went to Catholic school for a little bit. Job is more of like the morality book,
Okay.
and so I don't know if that's supposed to be like because he was able to like release his like what he was stuck on or whatever.
Right.
Now he's able to find his morality and be like, no, we need to go help.
We're gonna
Rorschach.
break Rorschach out of jail.
Yeah.
Let's fucking go.
Let's go. He's high off his fucking.
so fucking cool.
He's got that courage.
His little Dan's little essay here on Archimedes.
Fucking cool, man.
Yeah, some back matter here fleshes out the story, fleshes out the world.
The reverence over the owl.
Yes, and 8 as let's see here. We're gonna do 4, so we did 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this is 8.
I think this is the last chapter.
This is the last chapter of this session, and then we'll pick it up towards the end. This is a sad one. I hate to see old Hollis go down like this, but
yeah, this has a dark turn.
It's Halloween, old ghosts, which is of course there's a lot happening in this one. We're kind of just bouncing around all over the place, right? And I guess it's kind of I don't know, maybe more instead of another character study, it's more of just moving the story along and seeing how
this, by the way, just looks like a Eddie P, like to me.
Oh yeah.
So like Eddie.
Yeah, for sure. The goat, his score.
The goat, man.
And yeah, we're kind of just go and look at my man's locked the fuck in.
Yeah,
he's so back.
We're determined. So back. The black shirt. He found his groove back.
Yeah, for sure. And this is like credit to Gibbons again for like, it's not easy to draw a doughy middle-aged guy going into superhero mode. But it definitely works. And this is, come on, how do you not fucking love this? It's Rorschach in jail. All the sharks are kind of circling in. Big figure, small world. Just Rorschach being a fucker and just talking shit, And,
man. I love that shit though.
It's so fun. I'm sorry, man. Like again, you can't say that when Rorschach isn't in frame, it's not like completely engrossing. You get the cop kind of letting him know that he knows that he's realistically the night owl. We know that as November comes, hawk catches the dove. What does he say? The hawk gets a sparrow. That's it.
Oh yeah,
that on the nose with the dove. We're back to the frontiersman, the kind of right wing rag that Rorschach reads. These little things kind of along the bottom to show we're just jumping around so much, but it's so coherent. You're never lost. We're showing they're giving us breadcrumbs of what's going on the weird island with all the disappeared artists.
The most ominous.
Yeah, this is the first time you're seeing these artist types. So signing it on Halloween '85.
That's so fucked up.
After kind of teasing them out all the time, sort of parallel between the jack-o'-lantern and the owl's eyes.
And so this is Hollis, right?
Yes,
he's doing
carving the jack-o'-lantern for Halloween for the neighborhood,
and then he's suiting up. Even the fucking mice, they're clearing out the mice all in space. That's
Yeah, and this stuff, I mean, you could just not read what anyone's going through and just
Right.
follow these guys along for the action along the bottom. Just good, great layout, great kind of consideration as to some of the things you can do in the form.
Yeah.
Um, this is like, it's agonizingly slow
Yeah.
seeing these. We got a jail full of guys out here who hate your guts. What in the hell do you got? Your hands. My perspective. Ties him up. They kill him to get through it. The
Dude,
blood.
that part was so fucked.
You can see because there's like kind of a riot breaking out because the guy that Rorschach spilled the fat on is dead, and so these guys want to get to him before he dies. Our heroes at the bottom of the breakout, they're still going on. I guess that ends here right after the bottom panel thing kind of ends. Rorschach still just through cunning and guile. I don't think they give you porcelain toilets in jail, probably for that reason. But
Busted that. And
we're letting them roll with it. Yeah, pulls off some electrocution on this guy, which shorts the power out, and then it's just Rorschach fucking stalking this fucking guy. It's like a pure horror movie at this point.
Predator
right?
2 right here, just coming at you.
And we still have this kind of it's so hard reaching him. I mean, all this stuff, this horror and madness that he attracts, it's his world. This is where he lives in this sordid, violent twilight zone under his shadow. And then you get this like Dutch angle, is it? What do you call this?
Or like a worm's eye, something like that.
You're looking up at him.
Yeah.
And kind of also ties in with that shadow.
Just ominous fucking figure. Why are his hands in his pockets? Why is he too chill about this?
He's exactly as chill as he needs to be. You can kind of see, you can imagine he's got the trench coat on, right?
True. Oh yeah. He's just walking his rounds,
doing his due, and he takes the break to go into the bathroom. Comes out, and you just see all the violence off screen. Classic.
Is that blood or water?
Oh, come on. We all know. We all know what's going down here.
Oh yeah.
We make the great escape, and then while we're back, the gang's all here. We turn over the Hawk and the Sparrow, ominously enough, and hello.
Boom.
There's
Who
a guy
shows up?
and it's kind of while all this other stuff is happening, we haven't thought about Dr. Manhattan in a while, and he shows up and kind of disappears
just as quickly.
Sally Jupiter to Mars, but Rorschach and Owl have no time to waste. They're off to they just have to split because they know the cops are coming. They're at the door because that guy kind of was wise to him earlier. The knot heads decide that they need to take out the original Night Owl, and in this kind of Halloween fashion, interspersed with the pirate comic, which is of course doing its thing with the text. This is, for a beating an old man to death sequence, I think this is probably like as they soften the blow as much as they can, because again, I don't think we want to see anything happen to Hall. Is possibly one of the only good characters in the whole book.
Quite literally. Literally. The one that I would say is most good.
Yeah, he gets he's while he's fighting, he's kind of we're imagining he's imagining himself in the old times, kind of taking out the roughnecks of the past, and he's just kind of living in his head here, doing the muscle memory, however you want to read that. Brilliant way to kind of show this sequence. And then one of them grabs the trophy that he got for being a hero, and another shadow here kind of takes him out.
And looks like the mask.
Yeah.
Oh, I just noticed that, man.
So hard.
So fucking cool.
And then we end with the bit about All Hallows Eve here, and we end with the old ghost. Jeez.
Damn.
Very, very plot heavy. Again, the last couple, you give them. I keep saying it's the shell game. You give them plot, you give them character, you give them layouts and comics craft, and then you give them some these kind of like themes and motifs, and it's like all of this stuff is well, if you're focusing so much on one thing, you're missing in another, and it's just all there to be taken in, and it's so dense.
It's dense, and I I think looking now that we flipped through it, it does work in it works best to me as like it's setting up the next phase of the story.
Right. Yeah, this is definitely, I mean, obviously it's the second act,
Yeah.
right? And which is kind of like just doing a lot of legwork in terms of fleshing out the characters and just inching the plot along. We're not quite at climax. If we have a climax, like, it's kind of hard to say where it is. You gotta love
This stuff's fun.
the little look into the layout of the weird right wing mag, which is this is like a parody of a political comic, but this is like what half of the comics look like.
Back in the day, yeah.
This is like very straight face. There's a lot of guys with Patreons getting juiced who are drawing stuff that's way worse than this.
Fucked. Yeah.
And that all kind of leads us to this the great one where we're doing Dr. Manhattan on Mars, and
Yep.
we got a ways to go here. Bada boom, and
Yeah.
we'll be finished. But hopefully, you guys have found this useful in terms of really taking our time and looking at all the how
Digesting it.
yes, this is maybe like I don't know, inspiring some people to go back and reread, because this is, I can't tell you how many times I've read this comic and I'm still getting new stuff. I'm still finding new things. I'm still looking forward to finishing it.
Same.
Yeah. I'm like not just even talking about it, but just like I want to know what happens, even though I obviously read it a bunch. I know what happens.
It's cool that this piece works as like a full piece. And I think that's why, like, because I'm also getting stuff that I didn't I'm coming at this probably with a 15-year gap at least.
Yeah.
And definitely there was stuff that I was too green to reading comics to even understand what was going on.
Right.
And I don't think it held me back, but I'm getting even more out of the experience. Like,
yeah.
So something like this, I was telling my partner, like, this is probably the one recommended graphic novel I would give to her.
Yeah.
Because it would be all you would need to know about comics, the feeling, the like reverence within the comic for comics, like there's all the things that surround like the culture that I would say is in comics. I think that it's best represented here, or it's like most. I would say it's a very good example of the form.
Right. And I mean, I think like let's say like some very good superhero comics like Dark Knight Returns or a Craven's Last Hunt that we read.
Yeah.
Craven's Last Hunt is a complete story and everything.
Amazing book.
But you're looking at year 40 of Spider-Man comics when that comes out. There's and if you don't, I think if you really came down from another planet and didn't know anything about Spider-Man, I don't know that you know everything you need to know about the character when you're reading Craven's Last Hunt.
I see what you mean on that.
Whereas like with this comic, because none of these characters exist prior to this, outside of like, the being archetypes or characters that they're analog for. Like, you don't need to know the character's backstory. The world is so different from ours that even you don't really need to know like American history necessarily. And it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It is so complete, and they're giving you all the information you need to know about the characters and about the world. So it's one thing to be a complete story. Like, let's say those Will Eisner books. Those are complete, stories, each one, but it's set in our world, and you kind of like, it's if you're talking about like a beleaguered gambler who comes into money or loses it again or something like that. I'm not saying that's easy, because like that's obviously like could be it's going to be as good or a bad of a story as the artist has the skill to convey, but it's not nearly as large in scope. you know, and this story is so grand in what it's telling. The world they're building takes so much, it's so like complete.
Yeah.
There's no like gaps in knowing about it, you know, like, yeah, I love Frank Miller's Daredevil, but it's like, I'm not going to give a Daredevil omnibus to someone.
That's a tough read. That's
You
what I'm
know,
saying, man.
and to have 12 issues that completely build a world from scratch, build a huge cast of characters from scratch, add characters that have nothing to do with the story, like the
Yeah.
newsstand guy and his friend, or like detectives, and like the huge scope that it does, to have it be complete like that, and have everything be satisfying, and have a solid like point that it's
Yeah.
going to a conclusion, a story. It's and it will never cease to amaze me. I'm always going to come back to Watchmen, and you know, hopefully you guys can come back to our grand conclusion as we see.
the third installment, I guess it would be like closing the loop on the Armageddon Day.
Yes,
That's
as
coming up.
the clock nears midnight,
It's
so
so
does our
dark.
story reach the end. And with that, I think we'll put you
Yeah,
at ease,
at ease,
privates.
y'all. We'll see you on the next one.